Chip, what's up, buddy? Happy
Hey,
New Year.
Stu.
How are you?
Yeah, good. Happy New Year. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. You had a good Christmas, New Year holiday, everything?
Yeah, folks down visiting in Richmond from Buffalo over Christmas, so it was good having them around, hanging out with the grandkids, and just eating, drinking, and relaxing in Richmond.
Love it, dude. I see you're enjoying the outdoor atmosphere today.
Yeah, we got a mid-60s day in Richmond, which is a little abnormal, so enjoying sitting out by the pool.
Love it, dude. Well, so you mentioned Richmond, so give me a little background. Tell me about who you are and what you do.
Sure. So commissioned into the Marine Corps after college, spent 9 years as an infantry officer. During that time, started with, I think like a lot of vets, 23 or 24, bought a little snake ranch of a townhouse with my VA loan, rented a room out to a best buddy of mine who was taking a year off before law school. So kind of became an accidental landlord in that respect. And then with the Marines sending me out to California from Virginia after my time in Quantico, I decided, well, I guess I'll just rent it out to somebody else. So really stumbled into the whole landlord thing. The rest of my time in, once I got married, my wife and I moved back to Virginia for my B billet and just started buying additional single family homes, townhouses to rent out. I didn't really know much about the financial aspect of real estate, but just intrinsically got the value of having a tenant pay my mortgage for me. So as I was transitioning out, trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I knew I wanted to quote unquote do real estate. I just wasn't sure what that meant. So I'd heard a lot. My dad's financial planner. He talks about accounting as the language of business. So I used my GI Bill to go back to school for another bachelor's and master's in accounting, and then was extremely fortunate. Finished my time in the Marines down in the Hampton Roads area, moved up to Richmond, and landed a job as an asset management accountant at a large commercial real estate developer, general contractor, and property management firm. And that's where I really cut my teeth on commercial real estate deal analysis and how to operate commercial properties. A couple years working there, left, got my CPA, and launched my own firm, Walutes Capital, and that's what I do now. I really half my time is devoted to my own development portfolio. So just putting our savings, we basically sold off our single family home portfolio, rolled that into seed capital for commercial developments. So half my time is finding, underwriting, and developing properties of my own. And then the other half, I do consulting for real estate clients. So that's anything from somebody wanting an hour to ask about buying a home, all the way up to institutional developers who can afford to outsource their deal underwriting, paying me to analyze deals for them, build their pro formas. So that's kind of the twofold track I currently do. My own development work, a little third party development work, and then consulting work for everyone from aspirational homeowners to large scale developers who can pay to outsource some of their deal analysis.
Dude, that's awesome, man. So you went kind of as like an accidental landlord um to now like developing, full-blown projects and helping others do the same. What are you specifically developing a certain type of property?
Yeah, primarily residential,
Like multifamily, like
multifamily.
apartments?
Yeah.
Okay.
My first big deal I did on my own, I bought an infill lot and entitled it for 20 townhouses. And the initial plan when I bought in 2022 was build to rent, but interest rates between buying and entitling it 2 years later changed to the point where build to rent didn't pencil anymore. So I ended up selling that to a home builder who basically had approved construction permits when they closed on the deal and did a build to sale. But that was an extremely valuable 2 year process for me where I was the single source responsible for the success or failure of the deal. So working on
Wow.
entitlements, easements, in-depth collaboration with my civil engineer. And I like reading, I like learning from text, but at the end of the day, nothing teaches like doing. And this was two
Right, dude.
years of absolute real estate U. So financially, when I exited the deal, I'd call it a single to double financially, but it was an absolute home run in terms of experience gained, where I was the single point of success or failure on the deal.
What made you go from just individual single family rental ownership to decide to kind of go into that development world? Because it seems like a big step from like that's a large gap between like the space there, right?
Yeah, and I wouldn't have been confident doing it had I not worked at a large scale developer. And
Okay.
the two principals of that company they knew when I started that I wasn't a permanent solution, that I wanted to get out and work on my own. So left on very good terms, spent 3 months from notice to leaving to ensure that I hired and trained a replacement. But as I was leaving, they said, "Hey, Chip, we'd be happy to mentor you." So having that
Nice.
backstop of experience, knowing that if some question comes up from architecture to entitlements to financing to property management, somebody in that building has dealt with it. And having that backstop of being able to go over there, pick people's brains, um, really gave me the confidence to do it. Now, in terms of the jump, I am in real estate, not because I love it, not because I jump out of the bed in the morning and say, I love real estate. I want to do this for the rest of my life. I love financial freedom. I love spending time with my family, travel, volunteering. I'm the commander of our local VFW. And for me and my background, real estate just seemed like the quickest path to getting to the financial freedom to be able to do those things that I wanted to do instead of having to clock in on a 9 to 5. And where I transitioned from single family to the development thing, it had to do with that time. So all my single families I managed on my own. And that's, for anyone who's done it, can be a time consuming process.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I realized if I wanted to scale that, I would just be contributing more and more time or hiring a property management firm and losing control and losing a percentage of the cash flow. And what I realized was I like projects, and a development is a project with a tangible start and finish. And it lets me focus on a single deal. And when I exit, whatever that is, whether it's stabilizing it and turning it over to property management, because I'm absolutely good with that in multifamily, or selling it, it's a natural break in the rhythm to say, okay, just knocked one out. Let's take a break. Let's take the family overseas for 6 months. Let's do something or other. Let's focus more on volunteering. So the development work, in some respects, it gives more time because there's a concrete end. Whereas when you're just renting single family homes, there's no end. I mean, you're always there. There are lulls, and obviously it's more labor and time intensive when you're gapped with tenants. But it's enduring. Whereas a development has a more finite set of bookends. So
Yeah.
it really came down to time and what I value.
That's good, man. I love that. And speaking of, you talked kind of briefly about your transition and, going, into, going back to school, then going into a commercial real estate company. How was that transition for you, just, in general?
It was very smooth, and I think what helped and the advice I'd give, you're a vet yourself. You've seen this. I think there's especially mid-career officers, senior enlisted to some extent. There's this a lot of times a sense of entitlement of I was responsible for X number of troops. I should be given a COO position immediately. And
Yeah.
I think that's BS because we may have the soft skills, but we don't have the industry knowledge to warrant that. So I looked at it as I don't want to go in and say I'm entitled to this position. I took an entry level asset management accountant position. I took a 50 or 60% pay cut from being a Marine captain with BAH to basically a job that I was competing with kids out of college. But I didn't look at it as a pay cut. I looked at it, this is an opportunity for me to get paid, regardless what that salary was, to learn from the ground floor a whole new industry. And
Mm,
that's what I'll tell anyone who has that question about what do I do after is if you're that confident in the value you can bring to an organization, get your foot in the door. And then if you want to stay there long term, you will demonstrate your value and you will have commensurate increases in pay. But start at the ground floor, bust your butt, prove yourself, and learn the industry, and then you'll demonstrate your value.
dude, I love that. That's such solid advice because I've seen that so many times over and over again. And especially for those that continue on, like, you're retiring, right? You're getting out of like 05, 06 pay. You immediately think you're going to jump into some like CEO corporate executive role, and like it just doesn't happen.
Yep.
Not very often. Like it happens, but I don't think it happens as much as we think it happens. So man, that's a solid point for sure. Um, what um what did you learn in the military that's helped you now in the world that you're in?
The time management, organization, and prioritization.
Hmm.
So, I mean, growing up as a kid, seeing the Marine Corps commercials on TV with a Marine in his dress blues slaying a fire-breathing dragon, everyone thinks, oh yeah, being a Marine officer, especially an infantry officer, you're taking the hill all the time. But the bulk of what we do as officers in any field is paperwork, planning, training, organization, and you have to stay aggressively organized. And
Mm,
with especially the development world, if you are not on top of everything with, and it doesn't matter what your organizational method is, but rigorously following your organizational method, you'll fail. So organization is one thing. Time management, similarly, as a military officer, there's not enough time in each day to do everything you need to do, and that kind of you crosses with prioritization. So it teaches you to be able to look at what you have to do and rack and stack. All right, what's the need to do today, and what's the hey, this can be punted down the line. And a lot of people who don't have that ability to prioritize get overwhelmed thinking they have to do everything and devote a ton of time to stuff that really is bringing less value instead of being able to look at their list and say, these are the highest priority, highest value things I need to do today. And I'm going to knock them out, recognize that things I need to do eventually, but not right now, can potentially get punted down the line a little bit.
yeah, dude, I love that. And even more so when family comes into the picture and now you're trying to prioritize work, investments, and now family time. And if it's a value for you to be present for your family, you even have to even more figure out what is the priority and manage that time even more effectively. So,
Yeah.
good on you, dude. I love it. All right, so you're an investor. You've done a lot of deals. And so I want to ask, what's your best investment first, and then what's your worst investment?
It may sound like kind of a cop out answer, but I'm going to say my best intangible investment was
Okay.
going back to school for the accounting degrees.
Okay.
The best advice I ever heard about real estate is financing is king. If you
Mm,
can't finance a deal, it's not going to happen, no matter how good you think it is. I see a lot of people put together these kind of really aesthetically well done pitch decks that show the kind of story of a deal. And that's all right. Well, where's the pro forma? Where are the numbers? Show me how it works. What are your assumptions? And learning in-depth accounting skills, it gives you that. In addition to the accounting, the finance kind of comes hand in hand with it. A lot of the study, the ability to analyze a deal, and also the ability to understand how to value other deals because you understand what income statements are, what balance sheets are, what a statement of cash flows is. These things that really show you the guts of a deal that without that information, it's just you're going on kind of
yeah.
instinct instead of the hard and fast numbers. So yeah, my best investment was going back to school for those accounting degrees. My best actual tangible investment was financially the first townhouse I bought. Um, I knew nothing about real estate. I knew nothing about the VA loan. It was just this thing that, like, hey, I think I could buy a house with little or no down. Reached out to a realtor when I was, I think 23 at the time, maybe 24,
Nice.
and said, hey, I think I could buy something. I have this thing kind of VA loan. And she was wonderful, walked me through the whole process. And I got my foot in the door. And then when I sold that property about a decade later, I made a significant return, not because I analyzed the deal, but because I got in early. So
Mm,
recognizing the value, and it sounds trite to say, but I mean it is really a valuable thing. The whole saying of the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, the second best time today.
yeah.
Same with real estate. I mean, sure, and that's why I buy into the long term hold model. I've never done the flipping thing. Not to say people haven't done well with it. It just doesn't fit my risk profile well. If you are bullish on an area and you do your basic level of analysis over the long term, it may be in fits and starts. The value of property is going to go up. You're going to reap the benefits of loan amortization. You're going to reap the benefits of depreciation, and you're going to reap the benefits from the cash flows from rents generated over your OPEX and debt service. And so I stumbled into my best investment just because I was a young, dumb kid who said, I'm going to do this at 24 instead of 44.
dude. I mean, sometimes it's just starting early, right?
Yeah.
And um, that's good, dude. What about let me take this opportunity to plug. I'll give you more plug later, but because of your CPA knowledge and background, you gave a presentation in the Military Investor Network about just analyzing a property, and you offer like these amazing spreadsheets that you've created, on your website, and then you wrote a book about it too, and all are an incredible resource, super helpful, very easy to follow, and it just all around just a great resource. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you for the positive feedback, and that's exactly what I wanted to hear because one of my pet peeves is a lot of investors and developers try to keep things mysterious. I remember when
Yeah.
I first heard the phrase underwriting or the word underwriting, I was a deer in the headlights. I had no idea what that meant.
Yeah.
I'd only heard like kind of underwriting in the context of insurance and loans. Um, it doesn't have to be complicated. I am in real estate said to build long-term wealth and get to the point where I can focus on the things I actually want to focus on. And I'm happy to help other people do that. And that's why, yeah, each one of the financial models that I have spread throughout my book, there's a URL underneath. You can download it for free.
Yeah.
Thought process being, hey, this doesn't have to be the final solution, but use it as a foundation. I mean, work smarter, not harder. The models are there. Download them, play with them, follow them along with the examples in the book, and tweak them as you see fit to you kind of support your financial situation.
Yeah, dude. I love it. And there's websites and programs out there that you have to pay money for to get this type of analysis, and you can go to, Chip's website and get the spreadsheets for free. So, I'll let you kind of give the website at the very end. What's your worst investment you've ever made?
Had nothing to do with real estate. It's something that I mean, Buffett said something along the lines of invest in what you know. Uh, as I was transitioning out, I invested in a an operating business, and I let enthusiasm rather than sound analysis get in the way. And it was a dud, but it was an important dud that it taught me that don't let enthusiasm get in the way of sound financial analysis on business fundamentals. So I'm glad I learned that at a relatively low price point,
Yeah.
pretty young, because it's important to get that first one out of the way, so that then you realize the importance of invest in what you know and do that.
Okay, what was the business?
Uh, I'd rather not say because
Fair
an
enough.
element of it is still operating, and
Okay. That's
there's
all
some
good.
bad blood there. I don't want to all the power to them, but
I understand.
enough to say that I'm still mildly irked about it. Let's see, 8 years later.
Oh man, I get it. I have a similar experience. Cool, man. Well, with just a little bit of time left, if you had to go back, I mean, it sounds like you started pretty young, buying real estate, but if you were to go back and give yourself some advice, what would it be?
Uh, with the time value of money, and this is more just personal finance than real estate specifically. I started the Roth IRA in college, which was great.
That's good.
I worked in high school. If I had started it when I had earned income as a high schooler, that's an extra 5, 6 years. So start a Roth IRA as soon as you have earned income and you can. And it's amazing when you look at the effects of compound interest, how a little bit a long time ago is significantly more valuable at retirement than a lot closer to retirement.
Oh, dude. So did you start Roth IRAs for your kids? Have you done that yet?
Well, no, because they're we have some other financial products for them, but
Okay.
2.5 and 9 months. So I think the IRS would kind of push me pretty hard on what their
Hey
earned income
man,
is.
they're great. They're great advertising opportunities for your business. That's what
Yeah,
my kiddos do. They
I
advertise
know.
and
That's
yeah, they're great
yeah.
marketing.
Yep, I field a lot of questions wearing my CPA hat from when people can start doing that. But we have some other financial products set up for them
Cool.
that are going to assist with high school tuition and your college costs
Yeah.
and then long
Well,
term just general wealth.
to your point, I started Roth IRAs for my kids, and they have way more money in their accounts just from the compounding interests, than I did like leaving college. And
Yep.
so, fantastic advice for sure. All right, last question. For the Military Investor Network, for the members, for everyone that's watching this, what would you ask of them from this interview?
Uh, I'm kind of I may be unique amongst the network in that I'm not really trying to scale. I work for myself. I don't have any full-time employees. I bring contractors on when I need, so I'm not trying to grow per se. But I love helping people with real estate, specifically the financial analysis side. So I'd say selfishly, I mean, I wrote my book to provide that help. So take a look at that. And then if there's anyone else out there who needs a hand underwriting a deal, whether that's a single family home rental property, acquiring a apartment building and pooling capital and building equity waterfalls for it, or developing a ground up multifamily, I mean, I'm happy to help. Stuff like that I really enjoy to do, project based contracts where it's just basically I pay you my hourly consultation fee and hopefully help you in the process.
Love it, dude. So where do people find out more about you? Give us your website and where they can get the book.
Yeah, best bet is my website. It's Walutes Capital, Walutes Capital .com. And on there, it lays out my services, how to contact me, has a link to the book because that's available on Amazon. It's The Investor's Guide to Real Estate Finance, Accounting, and Tax, a journey from first homes to multifamily developments. And that's on the website too, where you can download all those financial models referenced in the book for free. So you don't lose anything. And I'd ask you if you take a look at the book or even just the financial models and find them valuable, spread the word to anyone else interested in real estate.
Love it, dude. I'm just curious, what is Walutis? Where does that come from?
That was the street of my first townhouse.
Okay,
Yep,
nice.
Northern Virginia. So that's can nod to my to less than auspicious start in real estate.
Love it, dude. All right. Well, Chip, I appreciate you, man. You've been a fantastic resource for the Military Investor Network. Tons of great advice and man, wealth of knowledge. Guys and gals, reach out to Chip, buy his book. It's amazing. Download his free spreadsheets. They're fantastic.
I don't even ask for contact information.
Yep, sure don't. It's great. Reach out to Chip. Thanks, man. Appreciate
All
you.
right. Yeah, Stu, thanks so much.
Okay. See ya.